Dear netizens, Trump convened his first cabinet meeting. I'm talking about Trump in a couple of videos today. It's really absolutely impressive. He's absolutely, without a doubt, entirely setting the agenda, getting everyone's attention and focus on the task. He is leading the world to change. You can't help but talk about him. But this video, because there's so much to say, the main thing is just to talk about his tariffs. He also said that a 25% tariff would be imposed on the European Union. There are 2 points to be made here. First, he is already preparing to withdraw his troops in Europe. Leave Europe alone and let it be as it is. Europe is on its own. The EU's 25% tariff is then subsequently imposed. Decoupling from Europe. Not decoupling from China. Rather, it is decoupling from Europe. That's the first point. Second, I want to explain a bit more about the tariff to everyone. There are 2 certain theoretical bases for his additional tariff imposition. Good. Let's see what Xiaomei has to say. A lot of people know that I'm over 50 years old, but it can also remain the way it is. Actually, there are some secrets. One of them was that I tried it from a big Korean pharmaceutical company called Hankook NMN Collagen 5-in-1 Regenerate Skin. This NMN is a little different. There are 5 different types of collagen in it. I'm sure many ladies know. After consuming collagen, our cells regenerate. Slows down our aging. There's another point that people will overlook. Eating collagen also helps our bones. If there are joint issues, or if you want to walk a little better, collagen can help you. Of course, after consuming it, your energy will be much better. Also, I feel that my personal mood has become cheerful. When people are happy, they will naturally be beautiful. So you can all try this. Hankook NMN Collagen 5-in-1 Regenerate Skin. Hankook NMN Collagen 5-in-1 Regenerate Skin. Good. I'll explain to you about this product. The original price is $3,264 for 3 boxes. Eat for 3 months. Buy 3 pieces now for 2,285 Hong Kong dollars. That's 700 Hong Kong dollars. What will I give you? Send a caviar. Sold for 1,000 Hong Kong dollars. Then there are heparin, eye protection, microcollagen, and probiotics, like for example. There are also diet pills for African mango seeds. The total value is more than 2,100 Hong Kong dollars. 2,285 Hong Kong dollars for 2,126 Hong Kong dollars for you. Live tomorrow night. I will make an appointment with Deng Xiaohua to talk. I ask you, please, not to be so harsh. Said that Deng Xiaohua didn't understand anything. Said she couldn't interject. Really don't ever treat others like this. Absolutely, really. I'm going to talk about some things that Deng Xiaohua is good at. The political situation will be discussed at the beginning and at the end. Talk for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and stocks. But in the middle, talk a little bit more about Zhang Ailing, especially what she thinks of Dream of the Red Chamber. And I talk about Preface to King Ting's Pavilion. Let me talk about the author of the Preface to King Ting's Pavilion. I don't know if Deng Xiaohua understands this matter. It's best to look into it, because I have memorized Preface to King Ting's Pavilion since I was a child. Yuzhong County, Hongyu Mansion. Yuzhong County, Hongyu Mansion. Stars split into wings, ground lengths to hang blue. There are 3 rivers and 5 lakes. Control the Barber Jing and lead OU. The natural world is rich, beautiful. The dragon's light lights the ruins of Nyodo. The people are beautiful, and Su Ru is on Chen Fan's couch. It is the first article in the world. Okay. All right. Trump's words are undeniably really powerful. I really admire. The man has arrived. I don't know how to describe what he said. That's indeed what the president says. The establishment of the European Union. It is to screw the United States. It turned out that the European Union was formed. It's to bring down the United States. Only he could have imagined it. Put all the people doing everything. It's all about taking advantage of the United States and the collapse of the United States. European Union. In fact, after the Roman Empire, Europe has been divided and at war for more than 1,000 years. The intention is to enter into a unified framework to reduce war, as well as getting everyone to each other. in addition to maintaining peace, water in Europe, as well as facilitating trade with each other. What does it have to do with the United States? You simply read the history of Europe to see it. What a painful experience Europe has. And an additional 25% tax on imports from Europe. It's turn of the European Union. I guessed it. April 2nd. All of these things were announced. I tell you on the last page. They take advantage of us in various different ways. They don't accept our cars. American cars were exported to Europe and no one bought them. They basically don't accept our produce. They will refuse on various grounds. That's indeed funny. Why won't Europe accept your car? As it is. Of course, its car is important. As well as the Europeans also do not like the cars of the Americans. Basically, if I were Europe, just lower tariffs and let American cars in. No one will buy an American car at all. The quality of American cars is something that Europeans do not like. Second, why should Europe protect agricultural products? Because Europe has a very deep foundation in productive agriculture, historically and culturally. For example, France, Denmark, Italy, etc. That's part of their culture. They're proud. They support more than 10% of the agricultural population. Only 2 to 3% of the US population is agricultural. Of course, Europe cannot tolerate buying large quantities of other people's agricultural products. This is the crime of Europe. Okay, all right, let's see. EU exports to the United States. In 2013, 250 billion. Now at 500 billion. Doubled in 11 years. Number of imports. From 180 billion to more than 300 billion. It's also close to double. What are exactly most of the things, really? Manufactured goods, machinery, chemicals, things like that. The trade deficit here is significantly more than $100 billion. The United States has a deficit of more than $100 billion with Europe. Let's look at the importance of the United States to Europe and its significant role in various aspects. Goods exported from Europe. 19.7% went to the United States. The United States is now 19.7%, levied on others 25%. Okay. All right. The United States loses to Europe. 13.7% of European imports. Europe will definitely fight back. I'm telling you. This counterattack. The result ended in only one word. It's called stir-frying. Let's stir-fry together. Okay. All right. Let's see. The entire principle. He's striking them one by one. It's like playing a vole. Let's take a look. The first largest is Mexico. So there are Mexican tariffs. China, Canada. Canada has more than China. Next. The one who, unfortunately, can't run away in this particular scenario is Germany. Germany 47%. Germany 47%. Japan. Can Japan run away? Although said, Vietnamese customs duties must be levied. Korean customs duties will be levied. I can tell you, April 2nd. He was waiting for a report. Just wipe out all these countries. Taiwan. Taiwan. Taiwan must have a share. I said it early in the morning. That's why TSMC shares are not owned. Ireland and also India. India is the big problem. India is imposing a 17% tariff on the United States. Okay. All right. We're going to look at the book. You have to understand his psychology. I've said it many times. Lighthizer. He said he used to believe in global integration and fair trade. Others treat the United States fairly, it's fine. Now he's not. He indeed wants to advocate a certain degree of protectionism. No trade is free. There is no real free trade. The United States wants to change course. Dealing with China. And then help the workers of the United States. This is Lighthizer's book. I tell you. Because I read this book. So I warned everyone early in the morning how dangerous tariffs are. Free trade is not truly free. Trade has never been completely free. Governments have passed tariff subsidy legislation to protect the country's industry. That's right. but to varying degrees. After the Second World War, it used to be very tightly guarded. Europe, Southeast Asia. We passed the General Tariff and Trade Agreement in 1947. General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, commonly known as GATT. Then it became the WTO. Everyone is constantly working hard. Let these be reduced. Let the world's trade increase. The result is that the whole world is making money. Traditional free trade theories are too idealistic. Ignoring the reality is unequal. In reality, there is inequality. So you should address these inequalities and disparities. In particular, there are serious inequalities. Instead of going to kill free trade, what is he advocating? Limitations of the theory of comparative advantage. Assuming the market is fair. But in reality, government intervention is widespread. Free market operation. Not necessarily the best results. The government needs to step in to protect key industries. These two philosophies. First, some countries must protect certain critical industries. How broad is the problem? Give an example. I'm advocating that food really needs to be protected. Because of a big country. When grain must import, no, there is none. When there is a war, so be sure to grow your own. Something crucial. Drugs, for example, or some degree of steel production. These really have to be protected. But you can't take this thing. Expand the list very large. Everything is in need of protection. Third, comparative advantage is the assumption that the market is fair. The market is even if it is not fair. Even if the market is distorted, it is fine. Comparative advantage. It's good for everyone. What is comparative advantage? It's your labor. When you put yourself into something, then when you put in something else, is more advantageous. If someone else is cheaper than you, this is called absolute superiority. Comparative advantage is that said. Which one do you do? Do it better than others. You just do whatever you want. Give an example. Would you please, perhaps, kindly ask the US to get back 1 million people to work as garment factories? Going to really, actually compete with Shine. These clothes are utterly, absolutely, and completely worthless. Your 1 million people do it. Productivity is low. It's a drag on the US economy as a whole. As a result, things are expensive. And the US economy suffers as a result. With comparative advantage, though incomplete. It is for the benefit of all countries. It's just that. There are some countries where you have to be extra careful. It's indeed the ones that are outrageously subsidized. A country with evil intentions, equal to China. The second is some countries. Why is it cheap? It's because it has low human rights. It has low environmental requirements. Those should be subject to human rights taxes and environmental taxes. I made my position clear. China is the biggest economic threat to the United States. China is through technology theft, subsidies from state-owned enterprises, and manipulating exchange rates. Gain an unfair advantage. It's true, but the Chinese are really powerful. I'm telling you, it is the market of the world plus the Chinese market. Because the economy is very large. So everything became division of labor, division of labor, division of labor. So what is produced is very cheap. You can't fight it. And the Chinese are very good at reducing costs. It's true. If the United States does not respond toughly, we'll lose the manufacturing base. Affect national security. Trade policy should serve domestic industries and workers. Pass globalization policies. As a result, U.S. workers lost a large number of manufacturing jobs. Trade policy should prioritize U.S. workers. And not the interests of multinational corporations. I'm telling you. Let's say, for example, you're taking care of workers in the United States. Here's an example. You use protectionism to take care of American workers. Do Americans want to do this work? I want to ask you. These jobs, all are indeed dangerous and very hard. You're telling the younger generation of Americans to work in steel mills. Do you think you can perhaps get workers? Are you, by any chance, asking Americans to make sneakers? Nike made in USA, Nike made in USA. Americans are now increasingly moving on to other jobs more and more. Here's an example. There is no manufacturing sector. Yes, some heavy industries are gone. Millions have lost their jobs. More than 10 million more people have gone to Silicon Valley to work on the internet. Those things are good to earn. Do you understand? Of course, some individuals used to make high-end manufactured products and services. Yes, you will make more money. Now run to McDonald's. Make less money. But that's inside your American society, as we understand it. The second assignment was not well done. Let people suffer. Actually, it is. It's something that can't be avoided. I said that too. Something related to the survival of the United States. Some steel, machinery, medicine, agricultural production. It should be protected. Besides, it should indeed be open. Take advantage of comparative advantage. If there are countries that subsidize heavily, you simply punish it. And if there are countries where human rights are very bad, you levy a human rights tax on it. If there are some countries, the environment is very bad, seriously pollute the earth, you levy it a pollution tax. That's what I'm absolutely advocating. Okay, all right. It is proposed to punish China for unfair trade practices with tariffs. Encourage U.S. businesses to move their supply chains back home or to friendly countries. He asked to move to Mexico and India. This is not the case with this policy now. Mexico and India. A 25% tariff is imposed. Trade agreement negotiations. Multi-petition trade talks. Ensuring fair competition. Examples of what he said. His book mentions Canada and Mexico. He said, the North American trade deal signed during the Obama era was unfair. At Trump's direction, as planned. The agreement signed by Canada, the United States, and Mexico is a brilliant achievement. Now this agreement is torn up. Subsidies are available. R&D funding policy support. Ensuring U.S. competitiveness in semiconductors, steel, and new energy. He advocated. These are called industrial policies. The government drives certain industries. Should the government drive certain industries? There are some important key areas. I also think the government can likely intervene. But there really certainly can't be many of these areas. Strictly enforce trade laws and impose sanctions on violating countries and companies. U.S. companies are encouraged to file lawsuits against countries like China for trade abuses. It's not interesting. It will not be judged when it comes to the WTO. This is him. He advocated a lot of tariffs on China. But he did not advocate a lot of tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Now, assert this. It's just who is unfair. He's dealing with whoever he wants. It is this man who is now imposing tariffs on the whole world. It's a cult. Economists in the United States who have recently advocated raising tariffs. Stephen Milan. He is currently serving as Trump's economic advisor and proposed U.S. tariffs to be raised from 2% to 20%, even 50%. Tariffs help significantly reduce the overall trade deficit in the economy. Tariffs can reduce the trade deficit to some extent. If your tariffs are high enough, definitely, yes, dealing with the overvaluation of the dollar. Protecting the industrial base. This kind of cult theory is often said. As long as you put tariffs on the whole world, then in that case, some people will most probably take it. Some suppliers are forced to reduce their prices. So it's good for the United States, because the U.S. government took 20%. Suppliers are responsible for 5-6%. Is the United States a benefit as a whole? That's how it's calculated. At a certain point, the United States is still advantageous. That's what he literally says. And then because of the taxes involved, literally, the United States will pay for it. Give back to the people with tax cuts. So the American people became rich. I am indeed totally against this. This is not the case with the world economy as we see it in general. When you build trade barriers, such as tariffs, you add 25% of the world's tariffs. In fact, it is interfering with the operation of world trade. It's badly distorted to run. When it runs badly, there are some things that should not be moved back to the United States. They return to the United States. As a result, people who do these things, it's definitely worth doing because of tariffs. But in fact, it contributes very little to the economy. The US economy loses as a result. These are called senseless losses. Let me give you a very practical example. Suppose Hong Kong increases the import tariff on rice to $1,000. As a result, approximately 100,000 people in Hong Kong were forced to return to farming, or so it seems. Isn't it? The 100,000 people plowed the fields. If measured in terms of world GDP productivity, they only earn a few $1,000s a year. Because you're twisted. And he went back to plowing the fields. Originally, he was supposed to earn 20,000 yuan a month. Now he actually indeed. Because it was the tariffs that subsidized him. He also earned tens of thousands of yuan. But more than 10,000 yuan is from tariffs. The productivity of these people drops to a few $1,000s. As a result, Hong Kong's overall productivity has declined. And he said about it, with a few more details. Why not? The moment you collect the tariff, it is the poor who are expropriated. And you subtract the income tax. It is to benefit those who have money. Economists such as Paul Krugman argue, high tariffs push up prices, affects low and middle income families. This has led to an increase in the cost of living. Negative impact on the economy. The most dangerous thing is, you suddenly put so many tariffs on it. The entire industrial chain is in chaos. So the industrial chain was in chaos. There will be a shortage of something. Prices have skyrocketed. For example, as long as April 2nd is implemented, I estimate the price of the car. At least 3 or 4%. That's why I'm called a netizen. You bought a new car. Don't sell old cars. Wait until April, if Trump really does that. I'm telling you, the price of the car must have risen by 3 or 4% when these prices slightly go up. It's 2022. Because of the shortage of industrial chains, and the inflation of prices has risen to more than 8%. What does this cause? What does this cause? Causing inflation expectations. Once inflation expectations are triggered, it becomes a malicious spiral that can lead to a downward and potentially harmful cycle. People are asking for a raise. People started to increase the price. Because of wage increases and price increases, the price is more expensive. Costly, the salary will be raised. So it becomes a malicious spiral. Okay. All right, let's see. I'll do the math for you. Imports from the United States. In 2024, it is expected to reach approximately $4.1 trillion US dollars in total, which is expected to be now this number. The result is undoubtedly, presumably imposed on the whole world. Can't run away. Some places are more expensive. Some things are more expensive. Your efficiency rate is 25%. Levied approximately 1 trillion tariffs back. The last US-China trade war that is ongoing. He is levying 15% on $380 billion. Received 50 billion. This time it's 20 times. Purely computational, theoretical, and abstract in nature. This $1 trillion is based on the GDP of the United States of approximately $25 trillion. Is 4% of GDP. It won't be added all at once. It will be divided into a couple years, purely mathematically. That's 3% to 4% inflation. Some took it. A conservative estimate is around 3%. But the damage that comes with this, it is caused by the passage of the disease. And also, someone else's counterattack is not counted. If someone else once fights back, U.S. exports have fallen sharply again because someone else imposes another 25% tariff on you. So the United States will be unemployed.